Okay. Um, I'm not sure where to begin this entirely other than opening up with this. I don't like this game. Actually, I kind of hated this game. I disliked this game to death, to be honest. I didn't want to. That's definitely where I ended up, though. So here's the thing. When it comes to Ogre Tactics Reborn, here's the thing. My whole experience, the 18 hours straight with no breaks that I experienced, is summarized as this. Start off a little slow and boring with an opening mechanic that honestly doesn't do jack and is kind of meaningless and a waste. That's not from concept standpoint, that's from actual execution. Oh yay, I did the tarot personality dealy from March of the Black Queen. Cool. Difference is though is that at least in that game that both affected your character and your starting units. And quite aggressively, mind you. Changing both your character's overall way of fighting, their stats, their classifications, what moves they've got, changing up your units, what their stats are, what their classes are, stuff like that. Here, all it is just pointless. These tarot card personality deals are meaningless. Honestly, you could have just gutted them entirely and nothing in the whole game would have changed at all. From my knowledge, not a single thing. Or at least, if there is some kind of change, it has got to be far in the game. Like, we're talking probably late chapters, because I pretty much almost finished chapter 2, and it was pretty meaningless. And accomplished nothing. Did nothing. Added nothing, really. All it did, from my knowledge, was decide whether or not my starting attribute is wind, fire, earth, lightning, or ice. And that's it. That's it. That's literally it. Which, I don't know how to put this best other than it just, to me, it felt beyond meaningless. It was next to nothing. You could have gutted the whole tarot card thing entirely, and you pretty much almost could have even gutted the choosing a goddess thing, from my knowledge. Based off of what I experienced, you could have just gutted both of those two things, and it would have changed nothing. Now, if it changes something in endgame, that begs the question of why is it something that only affects endgame? So even if it does affect then, it still sucks that it only affects then, if it does at all. And I'll probably try and watch the game get played by some other more forgiving person, because I'm sure there's someone who's forgiving enough to have finished this. I can only think of the word trash because of my experience, although that's not probably the best word, but it's the only one I can think of, so trash. Here's the thing, my experience was just never good. My experience started off slow, a little boring, but then got worse, and then worse, and worse, until finally, late to middle of chapter 2 is where I finally just stopped playing it. I just couldn't take it anymore. I was bored, I was annoyed, I was starting to get more and more frustrated, I was fed up, I was done. And it doesn't help that I was, honestly, the whole game just started off on a bad foot, but then never tried to get on a good foot at all. My experience was boring story at first, didn't get more exciting, kind of stayed the same level of kind of boring. Now, maybe there's a Japanese voice acting DLC, or maybe there's like a setting that I didn't know about, because I assumed it would just start off in the Japanese voice acting. It's what I kind of assumed. Apparently, I'm either wrong or I missed something when I was playing the game, I guess, but the English voice acting was very bad, and that's what I started with. That's what I was made to start with, which, yeah. Just, it was bad. Very bad. There are concepts I do like. Don't get me wrong, there are concepts I do like. For example, I like the concept of having a voice-acted MC. I actually like that concept. I wish the English voice acting was better, but I like the concept there. I like the concept of a branching narrative that has tons of moments throughout the game where it would change what story arc you're on. I like that. I do. I like that concept. Do I wish it was better written to make it so that you're actually going to enjoy that part more? Yeah, a little. To no surprise, a certain character who was obviously going to turn traitor when I decided to do the good guy thing. Whether or not he turns traitor in the other choice, I don't know. I'm also not going to pretend to know. No, I'm not going to describe which choice, because there might be someone out there who clicks on this who wants to play the game. And my words to you to play this game are simple. Don't do the things I did. Because otherwise your experience is going to pretty much suck from the outset. Now, there's some things that I didn't know that I should avoid, that I wish I would have known then. But I don't, after how bad it was, how much I beat my head against the wall. I don't want to go back or re-rent the game again to play those bits. I don't want to. I don't want to waste my time on that. Especially since, honestly, that's kind of what much of this feels like. A waste. Just a kind of a big shrug. A big shrug with probably a turd somewhere in the background. It's not... I don't even know what necessarily is the exact thing that finally put it over the edge for me and just made it unplayable for me. I'm not even sure what one thing did it, because as far as I could tell, there are multiple things compounding each other that are what did it in for me. Now, I didn't go into this with the mindset of this being a continuation of March of the Black Queen. I also didn't get my hopes up hoping it would be an advancement of that game in any way, really. I went into this thinking it would just might touch or lightly scratch on a similar itch at most. It didn't, which I would have been fine with if my experience was better. Which it wasn't. My experience was guest characters pissing me off by them Zerg rushing all the time. Me finding out there's no way to stop them from rushing blindly and getting themselves killed. Apparently, there's no way to tweak their AI at all to make them smarter or less dumb, or less likely to charge into a surrounding of enemies, get dogpiled on, and die, or retreat, depending on if they're a sorely important character or not. And then there's the recruiting, which at first I'm like, awesome, I can recruit things in battle. Awesome, I can recruit monsters. Hell yes. Then I was like, oh no. I learned the hard way that recruiting is actually trash and completely worthless. Here's the thing is, in order to recruit monsters or fairies or reptiles or so on and so on and so on, in order to recruit them to your team, you have to do two things to increase your odds. Now here's the thing. One of these things I'm actually somewhat okay with. I mean, the guest characters screw this thing up often, but I can be okay with it. The other I am not okay with, and pisses me off to no end. See, here's the thing. Lowering the monsters or human or whoever's health, alright, so you can increase your odds of recruiting them, I actually like that. I love it. I totally love that idea. The other one I don't love, because there's no real way to know about it. There's no way to look it up as you play the game. It's not even, from what I can tell, an actual thing that's showcased to you in the game, which sucks. Here's the thing. What you can do is, the other thing that will increase or lower your odds depending on is loyalty. How loyal is that creature to whatever side they're on? Here's the thing. There's no way to know this. There's no bar that says loyalty, and I went looking adamantly for a bar that said loyalty, or something that said loyalty point or something. I looked for that, and I found nothing. I looked on my own character sheets thinking that maybe it's just a bug or a glitch. Thinking that, oh, it must just be a glitch. I'll look at my character and I'll see the loyalty points there. No, I saw nothing there either. What this did is it made trying to recruit things a pain in the ass. It made it tedious, worthless, trash that never worked. Because the highest I could ever get was a 32%. No, really. I dropped a dragon to two health points. And the highest that got me is a 32% chance of recruiting. I had spammed the recruit option 6 times in a row for nothing to show for it. For no dragon. It doesn't help that shortly after that, my whole entire game crashed, therefore losing all my progress in that fight, forcing me to have to start it all over, just so that dragon can not show up again in that training match, which is frustrating. Very frustrating. And it's already frustrating enough when you're trying to recruit in the middle of battle, only to find out you have to use the recruit option tons of times just for you to get one single recruitment to success. Just to recruit one thing successfully, you have to spam so much. And it's annoying and dumb and frustrating. And honestly, it sucked. It sucks. And then, like I said, we have the guest characters, who I already told you their biggest problem, but we'll go over it anyways. Guest characters, no matter who, no matter what part of the game, no matter how far you are or how early you are, none of that matters. Guest characters decide to just charge in. Blindly. Just charge, and then charge to charge more. And that's it. That's all they do. Which, honestly, resulted in a problem that I had, where I was trying to keep Ban, or as I call him now, Ban the dumbass. I was trying to keep Ban the dumbass alive, only so he could charge in with half health to go fisticuff with a lizard man. The wizard decided to try and act like he was a friggin' pugilist and bare knuckles brawl a warrior lizard man armed with a frickin' tower or a hatchet. I can't even remember what he was using, but still. Had a giant ass sword, alright? And he decides, I'm gonna fisticuff it. And obviously, he died. 8 times minimum. This moron died 8 times consecutively because he decided to go fisticuff with a lizard. A lizard who is a warrior, designed for close combat and has defenses that make this wizard look like an absolute brain-dead moron. Spoiler alert, in case you don't know this through gaming history or just in general sense, wizards don't typically have high defense or have high enough strength to the point where fisticuffing anything is a good idea. Ever. In fact, too often, if a wizard does fisticuffing, most gamers decide, okay, this is a worthless lost cause, I'm not saving it anymore. For good reason. But I tried. 8 times in a row. I even experimented by leaving the AI to do this. Maybe the AI will, do something. I shouldn't have bothered. But I thought maybe it'll be better. Maybe the AI will notice something that maybe I'm missing, I thought. Turns out I was wrong. I decided to have 6 healers babysit the wizard. Or at least, that's how it should have gone. Turns out, if you let the AI take control of your healers, the AI will make it so your healers don't heal guests. Ever. I can't think of a single instant where an AI healer has healed a guest character. They've healed others within the unit somewhat, but then they do some really dumb shit. They decide, okay, we've helped you now, let's go fisticuff. I don't know what it is with this game and thinking that magic, squishy characters who can't take a beating to save their lives should go into fisticuffs for some ungodly reason when they could just sit and stay and let their shit restore. But they didn't. No restoring of MP was allowed to happen. They were sent to fisticuff fight things, which resulted in the healers dying almost always. Do I even need to explain what's wrong with this? Do I? Do I really need to explain what's wrong with the fact that the squishy characters are getting up close with warriors and trying to fist fight? I hope I don't. I hope. But yeah, that's a thing that was happening all the damn time as I was trying to play this horrible game. That's honestly my whole experience really well summarized. Me trying to recruit so I can get better units, only so I can get Flip the Bird one way or another. Couldn't recruit guests because guests were constantly sending themselves to their deaths over and over again, which is frustrating as hell when you're trying to ensure these idiots live and they don't because the whole AI is just shit. Then, on top of that, when you're trying to recruit them, stealing, them going and ignoring what you've set up here to go and get the easy kill. This happens often, which is really frustrating. Then we have the facts are is that honestly I was bored. Honestly I was. The moments where I wasn't frustrated or just fed up and pissed, I was bored. And not even like bored because it's not a game genre. Like, no, I love turn-based games. That's my whole origin as a gamer is turn-based games. I still play turn-based games to this day. You don't believe me? These are turn-based games right here. Okay? That's what these are. Turn-based games. I love turn-based games, and turn-based games do not bore me. But this game is just boring, and it's not because of it being turn-based. The reason it's so boring is just I don't have an interest in anything that's going on, and it doesn't help that my whole entire introduction to this game is, alright, let's go ambush these people. And that's it. That's the majority of what I'm given here for setup. So I have no clue where I'm at. I don't even really know anything about these characters or their backstories, their motivations. I don't know anything about the city I'm in. I have no clue about anything that's going on. When I'm given nothing, okay, at the start, that's not a good thing. And it doesn't help that, well, yes, they'll drip feed me some stuff as I went. The problem is, though, is that by then, this game was getting hammered with its gameplay problems. Where I am being put into these positions that suck. Where I'm not able to recruit things I want to recruit or need to recruit. Because let's face the facts, is that having only humans on the team sucks. And is actually a big hindrance. Because they don't gain, even the classes that have huge health pools, and I feel like I need air quotes here, huge health pools, it's not really that good because if you look at a dragon of the same level, it has 1200 or more health, which is more than your health by a good bit. They typically have higher defense than you by a good bit, higher magical defense than you by a good bit. They're doing more damage than you by a good bit. They have more moves that are useful in more situations than you by a good bit. So having only humans, which while humans might be the most flexible out of all the lots you can choose from, the problem is I needed other types. I needed non-humans in my group a little bit so I can improve my odds. That's what I needed, but didn't get to have it all. Instead, here I am, just kind of twiddling my thumbs, having to do with these kind of just humans only setup, which sucked. Especially since my team would have infinitely benefited from a clay golem, or a dragon, or a lizard man. Hell, it even would have benefited hugely from a freaking pixie. Just something. I needed something, but I couldn't have that because trying to recruit in battle was so bad, so worthless, and so shittily made. I love the concept, but just because I love a concept doesn't mean its execution gets to suck dick and get overlooked. That's not how that works. And it sucks to say. I don't like being negative, to be honest with you, but there are times where I can't lie to myself, alright, about it. I can't. I'm going to be honest with myself, even if it hurts at times. And honestly, to be honest with myself here, playing this game was terrible, tedious, boring, frustrating, dumb, and moronic the whole way through for all 18 hours without stop. And I've played games like that for that long a time. I did that with March of the Black Queen. I've done that before with tons of other games. Sorry, this way. This way. Yeah. One day I'll get directions reversed, right? When it comes to these games that I have in this case right here, almost all of them I have put in crazy hours. And that's before we even acknowledge Skyrim and Oblivion that are in here, alright? That is crazy. I've put tons of hours in these games. Every one of them. And I've even put tons of hours in these games here. These turn-based games. Alright? I've put tons and tons and tons of hours in all of them. And honestly, playing for 18 hours was not the kicker of why this game sucked for me so bad. It's that the game, when it comes down to its good concepts, their execution of almost everything just sucked. Now, with that being said, there are ways you can make it so this game isn't as bad for you. There are ways to make it so it's actually enjoyable for you. The catch is that two of them you have to go out of your way to not even bother acknowledging. The other one is a personal thing that may or may not impact you at all. The first two things, the things you have to pretend just don't exist at all in the game, being that of its recruitment system and its guest characters. You have to go out of your way to pretend that both of these two things don't exist at all, and that they've never existed at all. That's your best hope, really, for playing this game, enjoying this game, finishing this game. The other thing is you have to get grabbed by its story better than I did. And maybe this is something that won't affect you. Maybe you'll get grabbed by the story, and honestly, I hope you do. I really do. I hope you manage to get some fun out of this game. The fun I just didn't at all. I hope you manage to have some fun. I do. Just for me, the whole experience just never got better. It just kept stepping on one foot after another, just over and over again, and didn't really pick up the pace for me ever. For me, this game winds up being a 2 out of 10, but this game can easily jump to a 4 if you ignore those two mechanics, and even a 5 if you can get the story to grab you better. But for me, this game just is a 2. My whole experience, when perfectly summarized, is a 2. There are times where, yes, my experience was so bad I thought about going lower to a 1. And there were even times where my experience was so bad I didn't even want to take it seriously and give it a joke placeholder number like 0 or -5 because that's how bad my experience was. Like when you make me miss Saints Row 2022 and Cyberpunk when it was buggy as all hell. When you made me miss those, that's how you know you weren't a good experience for me, okay? Ugh. Honestly, now that this is done, I'm excited for next week where I'm going to have Smab help me. Thankfully, she offered. But I'm going to have Smab help me make an actual decent... Granted, this one worked out because the thumbnail perfectly summarized and personified my feelings towards my experience. But we'll be able to get a bit better of a thumbnail going on thanks to Smab and her limitless generosity. Thanks, homegirl. So yeah, hopefully you'll come and check that out. It's going to be a review for both Neo 1 and 2. And boy, is that one going to be both long and weird feeling. Because I was so confident I was not going to be able to do those reviews anytime soon. Like, I was expecting that maybe if I'm lucky, I'll be reviewing that next year sometime. Not, hey, guess what? We're able to get it done. I totally didn't expect that. So I hope you're excited. And I hope you guys managed to laugh at me, laugh with me, maybe crack some jokes at my expense. Maybe we get some jokes out of the fact that the camera's a little off, so it makes everything look like the room is slanted. I actually meant to fix that before the recording, but forgot. I will see you all next time. See ya.